We began testifying at the bail bond board against this company because we found a pattern that multiple violent offenders, multiple victims were dealing with these same companies. And I don't know about y'all, but I know that we didn't have that kind of money sitting around. So we knew that there was some kind of fraudulent activity going on.
Our friend and public safety advocate April Aguirre reacting to a major bust by the FBI involving more than 50 defendants who allegedly conspired with Able Bonds, providing false financial documents, which allowed dozens of violent criminals to obtain bail and return to Houston's streets. And yes, many of those predators who should have been locked up committed additional crimes. Panel has taken 2 long years, but these felony indictments, well, we're hoping they send a message. Has a message been sent, Paul?
A message has been sent to the people involved. Do you know who the message didn't get received by? Are the people who did not have the oversight and did not pay attention to what was happening in the bail bond board system. And that includes the Harris County Bail Bond Board members. Now, no one's elected to that board. They are appointed per their position to the board. And April and I and others went and testified to stop the issuance of licenses to the Maharib family, and they're the ones at the center of all this. They're the ones who bailed David's killer out a month after he got arrested on a $350,000 bail bond, right? And what happened was they falsified records, hence the wire fraud charges. He's going to be subject to perhaps as many as 20 years in prison. But the issue is we went and spoke to our elected officials and asked them to take action. And all they did is say, well, we can't really do anything. In fact, from the bench, Judge Angelo Rodriguez said to me, essentially accused me of slashing her tires prior to that board meeting. That actually happened. It's on the record, right? So the fact that she, along with others, voted to continue the Maharib's practice in the bail bond board industry, continuing to subject all of Harris County to these criminals with the facts in front of them as presented by the sheriff and not do anything about it is deeply, deeply troubling, and they need to be held accountable.
Charles Blaine, you followed this process, 2 years, and it took the federal process, the wheels to get these indictments. What's your take on all of that's unfolded?
Yeah, I mean, well, certainly not nearly as closely as Paul and April, and thank you guys for your work, because but for the effort you guys put in during a very difficult time in your lives, we wouldn't be seeing the outcome that we see today. I mean, it is crazy to think about, because these are the entities that oversee, or not oversee us, but have day-to-day impacts on our lives, and people don't recognize that there's a bail bond board that does have public comment that you can go and speak in front of, and those are the things we need to take notice of. And we also need to be looking at who's involved with this stuff. You know, we talked about the Maharib family. One of the members sat on District Attorney Kim Ogg's Bail Reform Transition Committee when she came into office. They donate to local officials. Like, these are people that we need to know what they're doing and how they're involved, and then maybe it makes more sense when we see these outcomes in our communities. And I think this is a wake-up call that people need to be more involved in every aspect of government.
Bob, and working with your wife in the criminal justice system, we got 30 seconds. What needs to happen?
Well, I was stunned when I read through the indictment on this. It was page after page after page of fraud and wire fraud and things like that. But clearly the emphasis needs to be on the governing body over the bond companies, making sure that they are in fact doing what they're supposed to be doing, and making sure that there are true legitimate companies that are presenting these bonds. It was obvious these people that were making $350,000, $500,000 bonds, who are low income, and they're making these bonds at ridiculously low fees, but great profit to the people that were involved in. There should be criminal charges and a civil liability to these people as well.
Yeah, people died because they were allowed to do this.